and welcome to the San Bruno City Council meeting of April 25th, 2017. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please, Vicki.
Councilmember Marty Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Rico Medina.
Here.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ibarra.
Here.
Mayor Ruane.
Here. Gus Sings, would you lead us in the pledge, please? We have a few announcements this evening. The first one is Operation Clean Sweep, coordinated by the Beautification Task Force, will be held on Saturday, May the 6th, beginning at 9 a.m. at City Park. To register, go to the city's website at sanbruno.ca.gov. Irene?
Thank you. They say in marketing that you tell people things 3 times and hopefully they remember it, so I'm telling it to you again. And I hope that you have all received your City of San Bruno activity guide, because on the first page is Operation Clean Sweep, and it tells you more details. Those people who receive their utility bill in the mail, it's there. And also, if you receive it online, it's also there. I put it up there again so you can see it. This time I added a few other things. Every year, as you know, we like to add something. We're doing the merchants with giving them a dustpan and a broom and a window sign to proclaim their support of keeping San Mateo Avenue beautiful. This is a little different. This project is called Litter Letter Project, and it was started by a woman named Rachel Hatterley, who lives in Illinois, and she is a creative artist, and she was very concerned about all the litter that was in her area, and she was trying to figure out a way to draw people's attention to it and to get them engaged in keeping their area clean. So this is what she did. And Steve, if you go to the next one, she created these letters. They're made from rebarb and chicken wire, and they are filled with trash that's been picked up. These happen to be about 3 feet tall, I believe. There's some more of them. And this is actually in Australia. And if you go, there's another one. These are the states and Australia that have litter letters. And notice that California is not there, and so I'm hoping that we will be, in fact I know we will be, the very first city in California to do these. And I've gotten permission from her. She has a website. She displays those pictures that you saw. She talks about the communities that actually create the letters. So we have a sponsor that is helping pay for the letters and their creations. And because time was short, I chose, along with my beautification members, the word that we are going to do, and for the very first one, we're going to do the word care. So hopefully it provokes people's ideas about caring for their environment and caring for their neighborhood. So these letters will be at Operation Clean Sweep, and when volunteers bring back their recycled containers, they'll be able to stuff them into the letters, and then we will find a special place to display them. So that's our next thing. And last but not least, every year, as you know, we give out gifts for the volunteers. And this year we are giving out Chico bags. And we have given these out in the past. This little guy who's considered the love bug, he was actually okay. If you want to pass those down, oops. He was actually a logo that my mother had found on a grocery bag that was, and some people are nodding out there, that was at Albertson's Market, which is now empty and being renovated. It used to be the Blue Moon or Paper Moon. It used to be the Paper Moon. That used to be a grocery store. They sponsored an anti-litter campaign. A gentleman made up this, be a love bug, not a litter bug. We found the grocery bag 40 years later and put it on this. So if you come volunteer at Operation Clean Sweep, you will receive a bag like this that says that. And then these are Chico bags, if you don't know. They fold up into something like this. And we deliberately chose these colors so that when you throw it in your purse, you'll be able to find it. So these are for you, gentlemen. And one more. And that's all. So I hope to see you in a week and a half.
Great. Thank you, Irene. Our second announcement is the city is currently accepting application from residents to fill vacancies on the Planning Commission, Citizen Crime Prevention Committee, and the Traffic Safety and Parking Committee. To apply, contact the city clerk's office at 616-7058 or by email at cityclerksoffice@sanbruno.ca.gov. So we need some good applications, and we need to fill these boards and commissions and committees. Item number 4, we have a presentation this evening. There's 2 actually, but I'm going to do our first presentation a little bit later in the program. Present proclamation recognizing the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life event to take place April 29th to 30th, 2017 in City Park. Whereas cancer is a group of diseases characterized by uncontrolled growth and spread of abnormal cells which, if not controlled, can result in premature death. And whereas more than 1,734,870 Californians who are alive today have had a history of cancer. Whereas cancer is the second leading cause of death in California, causing more than 59,400 deaths each year, about 162 people each day. And whereas an average of 1,200 deaths due to cancer occur each year in San Mateo County. And whereas the American Cancer Society is the nation's largest and most respected voluntary health organization since 1913, and has funded research which has contributed to every known method for detecting cancer and techniques for treating cancer, thereby increasing the cancer survival rates from 10% to over 68%. And whereas Relay for Life of Northern San Mateo County financially benefits the American Cancer Society's research and patient support programs, raising over $360,000 since 2010. Whereas the Northern San Mateo County Relay for Life event leadership team is holding their event Saturday, April 29th, starting at 10 a.m. until 10 a.m. April 30th at San Bruno City Park. Now, therefore, I, Jim Ruane, the mayor of the city of San Bruno, do hereby proclaim Saturday, April 29, 2017, as Relay for Life Day in San Bruno. I further urge all San Bruno residents to join our community to honor cancer survivors, remember loved ones lost, and fight back against a disease that has already taken too much. Ken, would you present this, please?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Ruane and council members. Thank you for this wonderful proclamation. We're so proud of the support that we have received from the city of San Bruno over the past several years. But the partnership that we have forged this year tops it all. You have been ever so supportive. We can't thank you enough. And we're so happy to be showing off our beautiful San Bruno Park to our friends and neighbors from around the area on April 29th and 30th, as the mayor just said. Here in the audience tonight, we've got some friends, co-volunteers from Daly City, one of the cities that we merged with this year, and I want to thank them for joining us. Through our work these past months, we have emerged as one team. We've merged with Daly City as well as South San Francisco. We're a team of volunteers committed to work hard, to raise awareness and funds for the services provided by the American Cancer Society. And, you know, as we've discovered over the years, there are not many around who have not been touched by cancer in one manner or another. For me, it was 8 years ago when my brother Michael was given the diagnosis. And I've been asked so many times over the years, does the pain ever go away? And I can't bear to tell them no. What has helped me dull the grief is getting involved to work towards the day our children and grandchildren won't have to panic if they hear the diagnosis, you have cancer, because the funds that we are raising now will allow a group at places like Genentech to develop a newer, easier method of curing them. We invite you all to come out on the weekend of the 29th and 30th Opening ceremony is 10 a.m. Come out, enjoy the ceremony, and if you can't make it at 10, we'll be there for 24 hours. Also like to show you our event t-shirt this year, which proudly displays the city's logo as our presenting sponsor. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. Item number 5, review of the agenda. If there's no objection, I'd like to move item number 11, which is a report of our Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee meeting, to right after number 8, public hearings. Item number 6, approval of the minutes of the special and regular council meetings of April 11, 2017. If there are any errors, corrections, or omissions, seeing none, to be approved as submitted. Item number 7 is a consent calendar. All items are considered routine or implemented earlier council action and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless requested. Any action on the consent?
If there be nothing, then I'll go ahead and move for approval.
Second.
Motion second to approve the consent calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 8, we have a public hearing this evening. Hold a public hearing, waive the second reading, and adopt the 2016 Fire and Building Code ordinances by reference with amendments.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. At your April 11th, 2017 meeting, staff introduced with detailed background information this proposed adoption of the 2016 State of California Fire and Building Codes with proposed local amendments. At that meeting, the Council waived first reading and formally introduced the 2016 Fire and Building Codes to be adopted by reference with local amendments with the adoption of specified local ordinances. The Council adopted a resolution approving findings of necessity and need for the amendments, deletions, and additions to the codes, and the Council set April 25th, this date, for formal adoption of the codes. Every 3 years, the state of California updates its fire and building codes. Beginning on January 1, 2017, these new codes, referenced as the 2016 California Building Codes, became effective. These codes apply minimum construction standards for all built structures throughout the state. The 2016 California Building Codes consist of 13 parts, including the building code, the residential code, the electrical code, the mechanical code, the plumbing code, the energy code, and the fire code. All projects submitted on or before December 31st, 2016 are permitted to comply with the 2013 edition, the prior edition of the California Building Codes. Cities can adopt amendments to the mandated state building and fire codes to address unique local, climatic, geographical, and topographical conditions. During the last code adoption cycle, referenced as the 2013 California Building Codes, the City Council adopted a number of local amendments which staff summarized at your April 11th meeting. These amendments were approved and filed with the California Building Standards Commission as required by state law as part of the prior cycle. Staff is proposing that these amendments be carried forward with the city's 2016 California Building Codes adoption, which requires readoption of these amendments by state law. Additionally, staff is proposing several new local building and fire code amendments. I would like to highlight some of the proposed local amendments that are in your materials. Proposed new local amendments to the 2016 Building Code relate to the following: prohibiting the covering of storefront windows or obstructing the view in any manner upon vacancy that limits the ability of the building official or designee from conducting visual inspections from outside of the building. Other building local amendments being proposed with this cycle have to do with street identification numbers. Based on citizen interest and feedback, staff has included local amendments to require that street identification numbers be illuminated. This requirement would apply to both residential and non-residential developments. With new construction, it would be expected that the illumination would be addressed as part of the overall electrical system within the building. With additions and remodels, alternatives would be considered, including but not limited to solar and battery pack options for illumination. This illumination requirement would become a standard building permit checklist requirement. Highlights of the proposed new local amendments to the 2016 Fire Code relate to the following: establishing language regarding definitions and permit requirements to help regulate operations associated with mobile fueling vehicles. Businesses that perform the service typically fuel vehicles on site for customers from vehicles with fuel tanks up to 110 gallons in size, or from vehicles carrying a maximum of 60 gallons of motor fuel in listed metal safety cans. Another area of local amendment in the Fire Code is an amendment that deletes regulation pertaining to the use of open flame cooking devices on combustible balconies, consistent with the International Fire Code, IFC, and the California Fire Code, CFC. Fire agencies throughout the county and state have returned enforcement of barbecue regulations on balconies and decks to individual homeowners associations. Our fire department staff has indicated that it will provide information to local homeowners associations about this matter. Additionally, the staff will provide useful safety information on the city's website. With that summary of proposed local amendments to the 2016 Fire and Building Codes, I will conclude my presentation by recommending that the Council formally adopt the 2016 Fire and Building Codes by reference with local amendments by adopting the ordinances provided to you with your staff reports. Our Chief Building Official, Roy Bruno, and Fire Chief Dave Downing and I are prepared to answer any questions you might have on our report. Thank you.
Any questions of staff before we open the public hearing?
Through the chair. David, it's my understanding that the codes went into effect January 1st. Did the local amendments, these local amendments, they go into effect after tonight?
These local amendments will go into effect with the effective date of this ordinance. So they're not in effect yet, only with the effective date based on your action.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else of staff? Okay, at this time, we'll open the public hearing. Would anyone in the public like to address the council on this issue? If we close the public hearing, you're precluded from discussing this with us. Okay, motion?
Move to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any discussion or action by the council?
If not, I'll introduce the resolution to approve.
It's a motion to waive the second reading and adopt. Is that correct, Mark?
So the motion would be to adopt the ordinances?
Okay.
Make a motion to adopt the ordinances.
Second.
Vice Mayor Ibarra,
Aye.
Councilmember Marty Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Rico Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Great. We'll now go right to item number 11, which is the report of our Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Dave Nigel.
Honorable Mayor and honorable members of our City Council, it's my privilege to present the annual report of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, a very vibrant and active committee representing our city, and I'm proud that my colleagues are here with me tonight. The first slide is a picture of our members. The committee was established by the City Council in May of 2002. We have two charter members, Walter Bird, who was unable to attend tonight, and me. We were appointed at that time. Our Vice Chair, Jeffrey Tong, is an example of a person who lives being a bicyclist. He doesn't own a car. His two main modes of transportation are his bicycle, fold-up bicycle, and public transportation. Henry Marr was unable to attend tonight. He was appointed 2012. This is his 5th year, and he has been focusing on on Crestmore Canyon. And Cecile Riberosa is not a citizen of San Bruno, but she represents Walmart. And you'll see further in the report her strong involvement as a liaison between that corporation and our city. Gus Sinks is present tonight. Gus, will you stand up? And I'm very proud that the mayor recognized him tonight to lead the pledge, which he did very well. And that's how he participates in our committee. He attends every function that we have in our outreach program, and he's a very vibrant and committed member. And our newest, our liaison last year was Mayor Ruane. Thank you for serving in that capacity. And our newest member is Adam Cosette, another terrific bicyclist. And even though he's been on our committee a short time, he's already very active. Our new council member is Council Member Irene O'Connell, and we welcome her participation with us. The next slide is a very wonderful picture of our committee, and the only one that's not here anymore is Megan, our associate planner, who has left the city, but we won't miss a beat because Matt Jones, who was a member of this committee and now an employee of the city as an contract assistant planner, and Matt is doing a great job with this PowerPoint. Thank you. William Lee represents the staff as a management analyst, and he keeps us on track. He answers all our difficult questions related to his expertise. And of course, I mentioned Megan. I want to mention the wonderful leadership of David Woltering. He is very efficient, very creative, and it's a pleasure to work with him. Responsibilities, we have 3 bullets in the responsibilities. Of course, in 2002, this is the main one, to serve as an advisory capacity to the City Council and the City Manager. And the second bullet, provide input and recommendations on the development of a comprehensive and ongoing plan to promote and encourage bicycle use and safety for commuting and recreation, enhance and foster pedestrian accessibility and safety, and publicize and encourage citizen participation in bicycle and pedestrian-related projects. And the third bullet is to provide other assistance as requested by the City Council or the City Manager, including viewing and reviewing and commenting on grant applications related to the committee's core responsibilities. We take outreach very strongly. It's not part of our responsibility, but ever since the inception of this committee, we have been very vibrant and active in all activities in the city, including Operation Clean Sweep. Many of us will be there. The first one is with the San Bruno Park School District, Children's Day in the Park. We always have an information table, and as you can see, we give gifts away. You can see the water bottles, and when Paula Bradley was our liaison, she bought this Wheel of Fortune, and this attracted a lot of kids, and it gave us an opportunity to give out our 10 safety tips. You remember the tragedy of the young 8th grader at Parkside School who was killed on a bicycle at Niles and Oak, and as a result of that, we developed 10 safety tips that we promote in all the schools in the San Bruno Park School District. The next slide is another outreach. This is one that's coming up, and it's a national program called Bike to Work. I'm sure you've all heard about it, and it's taking place on May 12th at the BART station. And as I alluded to earlier, Cecile, representing Walmart, sponsors our, we call it a refresher station. And at the refresher station, last year we had over 300 bikers pass by, and 180 actually stopped, and we give them coffee, bananas, other fruit, and bicycle tire kits, repair tire kits, and bike bags. And you can see in the second picture, those are some of the people that stopped. We had people riding in from Los Gatos, and even 2 from Castro Valley. It was unbelievable. The next slide, this is one that we take pride in, and is coming up also in May. The International Riders Visit. They'll be coming in from representing many countries. On the day that they visit San Bruno, they'll ride in from Santa Cruz, and will they be there to greet them and give them some wonderful gifts from our city. The next slide is the Posey Parade and Community Day in the park. These used to be 2 separate activities, and the Posey Parade, as you know, is the longest continuous parade that is not motorized for children. As a matter of fact, when this is not motorized only for children, and we asked as a committee if we could ride, and they said we couldn't. We were over 18. So we also have a table there. You can see in the middle picture is our logo, and that was created by Emil Hans, who was a charter member, and we're proud to wear it. We all have these shirts that I'm wearing, and our logo is imprinted on it. And we give away bike path maps of the county, and walking trails maps, and all kinds of gifts, water bottles and things that draw people to our booth. Our partnership building was started this last year, and you can see our committee and Matt Jones there. And this was a tour through Junipero Park, right above us here, and we wanted to see how we could have a collegial relationship between the city and the county, and we're off to a good start. One thing that you're very aware of on the next slide is our walk and bike plan, which you approved, and we were very grateful. This is an exciting thing that our committee is working hard with staff to see through its completion. And if you see, I told you about the 2 other logos, our wonderful city logo and our BPAC logo, but when we did our research last year with Latunic Associates, they came up with that logo, the blue one, next to ours up there, and it depicts not only serving cyclists and walkers, but also people with special needs. In 2017, we have several goals. First, the implementation of the walk and bike plan to install bicycle and pedestrian amenities and infrastructure, and to pursue grant opportunities. The city has received information of initial approval of a grant award for protected bicycle lane and other pedestrian, bicycle, and landscape improvements on Huntington Avenue between the southern terminus of the Centennial Way Trail and San Bruno Avenue. This is something that our committee has talked about for a long time, and finally it's coming to fruition, and we're excited about that. Expand community outreach for children and adults. We have events and school presentations, safety education, and public service announcements on cable TV that we show from time to time. We just had a fabulous presentation at John Muir School, and I was very touched that the president of the student body wrote a thank you letter to our committee. And so now I have to write him a thank you letter to express how grateful we are to be able to. We have covered all the Hill schools. Our next concentration will be down below El Crystal, Allen, and Bel Air schools. The next bullet is identify bicycle and pedestrian safety improvements in the city. I am the only one that's not a regular bicycle rider on our committee, and every meeting our members are bringing up issues that the city needs to address to improve safety. That's the biggest thing that we get in our surveys. People don't feel safe riding, and that's one of the things that we'll be addressing. Study opportunities to implement a Vision Zero policy. And the Vision Zero policy is a multinational road safety traffic project that aims to achieve a highway system with no fatalities or serious injuries on road traffic. And so far, the cities of San Francisco, San Mateo, Fremont, and San Jose have committed themselves, and we are looking to join that group also. Thank you very much. If you have any comments or questions, I try to address them.
Dave, you and your committee have just done a wonderful, wonderful job, obviously with all the work that you told us about this evening. As I say, when we have all of these presentations, the committees, boards, and of this city are the lifeblood. It's all volunteer. People don't realize that thousands and thousands of hours put on behind the scenes, so we really appreciate it. And I have a proclamation to give to you also. Declaring National Bike Month and Bike to Work Day in the city of San Bruno. Whereas the bicycle is a sustainable and environmentally friendly form of transportation, an excellent form of recreation, and a way to improve health through daily physical activity. And whereas creating a bicycling-friendly community has been shown to improve residents' health, well-being, quality of life, and to grow economies, attract tourism dollars, improve traffic safety, support student learning outcomes, reduce pollution, congestion, and damage and deterioration of our streets. And whereas San Bruno benefits from residents and visitors throughout the Bay Area region who are attracted to San Mateo County each year to enjoy bicycling, which provides economic, health, and scenic benefits to local residents, as well as residents of California and the world beyond. And whereas May has been declared National Bike Month for each of the last 61 years since its inception in 1956, and is so again in 2017, and whereas Bike Month aligns with San Bruno's goal to create a safe, comfortable, convenient community for those walking and biking throughout San Bruno and to improve health, livability, prosperity, and the environment. And whereas people throughout the United States will experience the joys of bicycling through the month of May through social rides, promotional events, educational programs, races, Bike to Work Day, Bike to Shop Day, Bike to School Day, open street events, trail work days, safe riding promotions, charity events, or by simply getting out and going for a ride. And now therefore be it resolved that the San Bruno City Council hereby recognizes May 2017 as National Bike Month and the second week in May as Bike to Work Week and May 11, 2017 as National Bike to Work Day. And be it further resolved that the San Bruno City Council urges all who support healthy communities to participate in the planned bicycle events and urges all road users to share the road with and be mindful of bicyclists. So I'm going to ask the Vice Mayor to present this to you.
Gus and Adam, will you join me? They'll take a picture of the paper.
That's great, Dave. Thank you once again.
On a personal note, while I'm up here, I was very honored to receive State Senator Jerry Hill's volunteer award, and I want to publicly thank the mayor and our city manager for sending. He told me that you sent my name in. Thank you very much. I was
Very welcome.
humbled.
Very well deserved. Item number 9 is public comment on items not on this agenda. It is the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and/or action where appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. I do have one speaker card from a Randall Shannon. Would you like to address the council?
Yes, this is regarding the PG&E walkway project in the Explosion neighborhood. And it's regarding a lot of parking issues and disruption due to the way the current construction company is handling it, abandoning their equipment in the neighborhood instead of taking it to the staging area, and then having 8 to 12 of their employees' cars parked on a street that's being worked on, taking up space when people are pulled out of their garages, and there's already severe parking issues because they're allowed to take out up to 750 feet, which is 15 houses. So it's turning into a fantastic nightmare on parking up there because of, and I'm disabled, I've got a hip going out, I'm going bone on bone in the hip, and I'm having to walk sometimes 3/4 of a block to get to my house because there's no parking.
Okay, we were made aware just a while ago about your concerns, and we have given it to the project manager on site, and they'll be addressing it in the next day. It shouldn't be something you'll have to wait.
I addressed some other issues with Connie, and she told me to,
That's fine.
yeah.
Okay. Anyone else under public comment? Okay, move right into conduct of business. 10A, waive the first reading and introduce ordinance amending section 2.32.010 of the San Bruno Municipal Code to comply with the California Voter Participation Rights Act, SB 415, by conducting 2017 and 2019 elections for 3-year council member terms and a 3-year mayoral term in 2017.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Before you tonight is an ordinance that's based on the resolution you adopted at the last meeting that does two things to comply with SB 415. And you'll remember that SB 415 requires certain cities, notably San Bruno and other cities on the peninsula, to schedule elections as soon as possible for even-numbered years instead of odd-numbered years. And the reason for that is because the county is determined that election turnout in odd-numbered years is generally lower than it is in even-numbered years. So all cities are required to submit their plan to move to even-numbered year elections. And the city's plan to do that is to hold elections for 3-year council member terms in 2017 and 2019. And in addition to that, to hold a 2017 election for a 3-year mayoral term. So those are the two provisions that you'll find in the ordinance that's attached to your packet. There's only one ordinance that needs to be amended in the city code, and that's section 2.32.010. And you have the ordinance in your packet with the changes that are proposed to be made that reflect the 17 and 19 elections for 3-year council member terms and the 17 election for a 3-year mayoral term. So if you introduce the ordinance tonight, waive first reading and introduce it, then at the next meeting, we'll bring back for you on the consent calendar the adoption of the ordinance, and we'll also bring back resolutions that the clerk's office and I will have prepared, submitting it to the county for their approval, because the county has to approve this before it can go into effect. Obviously, there's plenty of time to do that. That concludes my staff report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any question for Mark? I know we've been through this pretty extensively in previous meetings, so, or action by the council?
I'd like to repeat my comment because, as I said earlier, sometimes it takes 3 times to say it. So I'm opposed to this yet again. As I said before, it's no surprise to anybody. I like the people listening to understand that this election, it costs in 2 ways. It costs money because we're adding 2 elections. So it can cost between $104,000 and $150,000. And it costs in voter participation. In odd numbers years, our voter participation is between 4,000 and 5,000 people, which is sad. In even numbers years, it's more than double that. It's 11,000 people. So that's one thing. That's a cost. If we are holding it in an odd number year, we'll have less voter participation, and we will probably even have less than that because our school board, the elementary school board, is not running their campaign in this odd numbered year. They voted to extend their terms until 2018. So we'll not even have the people who are interested in that particular part of our voting area. The other piece is there are 68 jurisdictions in San Mateo County that elect people for their boards and commissions and their city councils. 11 of them are not doing it. Everyone else has extended theirs. 11 are not. So out of those 68, we are 11%. We are one of 68 who are not doing it. So for all those reasons and for the confusion that it's going to cause people, because some council people are going to be 3 years, some are going to be 4 years. I'm voting no.
Thank you, Irene. If there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and make a motion to waive the first reading.
Second.
Motion second to waive the first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Go ahead and introduce the ordinance for adoption.
Councilmember Rico Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Marty Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell,
No.
Vice Mayor Ibarra,
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Item 10B, receive an oral report on the city's utility infrastructure improvement program.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. The city is currently in the process of developing a 5-year infrastructure capital improvement program for the upcoming fiscal year 2017 to 2022. And we wanted to take this opportunity to update the City Council on the status of our projects, and as well as the work program scheduled to be completed within the next 5 years. Our city infrastructure are aging, with an average system for both water and wastewater is about 60 years old, and some pipelines are over 100 years old, and they're reaching their useful life, and it's important that they are replaced so that the city can continue to provide a safe and reliable service to the public. The city completed the water master plan update in 2012 and sewer master plan update in 2014. The water master plan provided improvements recommendations of the water distribution system based on capacity, seismic reliability, and replacement needs totaling $240 million. It's important that the water improvement recommendations are implemented to provide a reliable potable water conveyance system without interruption from water main breaks, and to also have adequate pressure and flow for fire during emergency. The sewer master plan also included recommendations for prioritized and scheduled improvement projects for pipelines and pump stations. And the total estimated cost for the recommended sewer improvements is $134 million. In 2011, the city was issued a cease and desist order by the San Francisco Bay Regional Water Quality Control Board, and also entered into a consent decree with the San Francisco Baykeeper, both of which required the city to implement measures targeted at reducing sanitary sewer overflows. The city's current aggressive sewer infrastructure replacement program is to replace pipelines to increase capacity, to meet the requirements of the consent decree, and also reduce sanitary sewer overflows. So this table shows the various water and sewer replacement projects that the city has completed within the last 5 years, from 2012 through 2017, with a CIP budget of totaling approximately $23 million. So how are these improvements projects funded? Well, both the water and wastewater improvement programs are funded through an enterprise fund, paid for by the public through water and sewer rates. No general funds are used to support these improvement programs. And as you can see from the slide, the city completed approximately $16 million worth of water improvements that consist of mainline pipe replacement, pump stations, and the tank. And our water meters were also converted to advanced water meters, which provided benefits to our residents and the cities, which will be presented to you a little bit later. For the wastewater conveyance system, the city completed approximately $5 million worth of improvements. As you can see, there's a savings of approximately $2 million from these projects, as the actual completed cost was less than the budgeted amount. And these savings remain in the enterprise funds and are used for future water and wastewater projects. So since the improvements of the city's infrastructure is dependent on the rates, it's crucial that the rates be maintained or increased to provide adequate financial support for the replacement of the infrastructure. So to meet the consent decree deadline of July 2018, many sewer projects are currently underway. Recently, the city completed 2 sewer main replacement projects, and 1 pump station will be under construction soon. The sewer main replacement projects are located at Genevieve and Trenton. The Genevieve project is one of the capacity projects required to be completed per the consent decree. The new bypass pipeline relieved capacity deficient issues of backyard sewer, which caused sanitary sewer overflows underneath 2 homes, one at Cherry and one at Chestnut, back in 2010. And the project was successfully completed, under budget and earlier than anticipated construction duration. And staff is anticipating to bring the item to council for project acceptance in the next couple of months. As for the Trenton project, that was initiated to prevent sanitary sewer overflows from sewer main pipelines that was located behind the easements of the homes on the south side of Trenton Drive. The pipeline actually had 8 sanitary sewer overflows between 2007 through 2010. So the existing sewer mains was inundated with root intrusion, which required constant and extensive maintenance by work crews. The maintenance staff also had difficulties assessing the pipelines since the existing pipelines was constructed in a hillside that was heavily populated with eucalyptus trees. So the new sewer main pipeline has been constructed along San Bruno Avenue to convey majority of the sewer flows from the neighborhood. The only remaining work left is the slurry seal along San Bruno Avenue, which is being scheduled, and the project is also under budget. Construction for the spyglass pump station is underway as well, and then the project will replace the pump station with all new components and a force main that will be installed along the street for ease of future access. And that project is anticipated to be completed by the end of the year. So this slide shows the various projects that are currently underway here. That will be completed within the next 5 years. And majority of the sewer projects, as I mentioned, has been brought to council for award of design services contract in order to meet the consent decree deadline. The city is also focusing on replacing many of the aging infrastructure, both water and sewer pipelines that are located in the neighborhoods east of El Camino, shown in areas 1 and 3 there, and as they are much older than the rest of the city. Majority of the water main breaks are also concentrated in those areas, which I'll show in the next slide. So here's a map of the water main break history that we've been tracking from 2000 through 2014. As you can see, the city has water main breaks all over the entire city, indicated by red and yellow dots. Inside each dot, there's a number that indicates the number of main breaks within that area. However, if you focus on the neighborhood that are adjacent to downtown area, within the triangle shape there are substantially higher water main breaks, total about 150 breaks in the last 14 years. This is the close-up of that area. This neighbor is indicated as Area 1 in the previous map, or what we're calling Avenues 1-1 through 1-3 in the water and wastewater CIP. Currently, the design is underway to replace the sewer and water mains in this area bounded by the Cemetery Avenue, Huntington, Florida, and Taylor. Potholing work has been completed, and the staff should be receiving a 90% design in the next couple of months. And within the next fiscal year, staff is anticipating to bring to council the design service for the replacement of both the water and sewer from Florida and Taylor Avenue towards San Felipe Avenue as well. So here are just some of the pictures going to show the state of our city's water infrastructure here. Just going clockwise, starting from the top, you see a picture on the top of the roof of the tank. There's corrosion forming on the top of the roof area. In the middle picture shows corroded water main pipelines that have been removed from the ground. You can see pipe clamps that were used to stop the main breaks and to restore water services. The top right shows another picture of the corrosion on the tank. The top below right shows a pipeline, cast iron pipeline that was removed from the water system, and you see the large holes within the pipeline. In the middle of the bottom, you see the water pipe that has been repaired with the clamp as well. And on the left corner shows another picture of a tank wall that's starting to corrode. And we brought some samples of 2 sections of our water system that were removed to show you the nature of what we're dealing with in our system. So as mentioned earlier, the city has many water and wastewater projects underway, and here's a detailed list of all the water projects that will be completed in the next 5 years, totaling approximately $42 million. The highlighted projects in red have already commenced, and staff will be bringing to council for design services of other projects once funding is available. And here's a similar list for the wastewater projects to be completed within the next 5 years. And this total is approximately $48 million. And as you can see, most of the wastewater projects are already underway and highlighted in red. And of course, it was driven by the consent decree. The city is making great progress to meet the consent decree deadline. And all the projects which are required to be completed under the consent decree are either already constructed or we're already under design. So we're fully underway for those projects. Overall, the city's making a great effort in improving infrastructure. However, adequate funding is needed in order to support both council and to support, and the support of both council and the residents are required to achieve the city's goals. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff at this time? Marty?
So we're going to rebuild the Florida Park. We're going to totally redo that. And there's a water main that runs back a sidewalk through there. So are we going to replace that concurrently with that project? Because it would be terrible to build the park and then we come back a year from now and replace the water main. And so that area 1-1, is that the triangle that you showed, that includes where the Florida Park is?
That's correct.
So that will be replaced prior to the replacement of the park or building of the park?
As I understand it, the building of the park is scheduled to be completed by the end of this year, and the water main projects will not be constructed by the end of this year.
Okay, so we're going to be able to phase that because the line does run through the park.
Correct.
I think what the council member is asking for is something that we need to look at. It's not currently planned to replace the water line as part of the park development project. We will take a look at whether that could feasibly be accomplished without significant delay to the park
Well,
project.
it could be abandoned it can be abandoned in place, just that we need to plan around that, because if we don't, then we could wind up digging out part of the park, the connections to provide new water service to the park, because I believe we are doing some of that for the irrigation and for the new water fountain and stuff. So something to be keeping in the back of our minds about how we're going to be doing that work as we go forward with the design on the park.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, it's a report. There's no action here, but thank you for all the work. And I know people are complaining about bills, but we certainly have diminished the SSOs, which are really important for us. It's really paid off. So thank you very much, Jimmy. Item 10C, adopt a resolution accepting the Advanced Water Meter Phase 1 project as complete and authorizing the filing of notice of completion with the San Mateo County Recorder's Office.
Honorable Mayor, members of council, tonight's presentation, I'll be providing information for the completed advanced water meter project and also discuss some of the added customer service benefits and finally provide information for the acceptance of the project as complete. And I have to confess that will let you know that tonight's presentation is not what I would like for it to be. My partner, Joanne Ryan, who I wanted to have this presentation with, obviously isn't here. Joanne was an active and engaged, important, and very vocal partner in this project and was very proud of the tools that her and her staff were able to bring to bear as part of this project. And without her involvement, it wouldn't have been as successful as it was, quite frankly. I'm kind of honoring her tonight by wearing this pink tie because she told me once I looked good in pink, so she may have just been being nice. Anyway, this project, as you may recall, replaced all of the city of San Bruno's approximately 11,000 water meters. Actually, it was 10,511 meters that we ended up replacing as part of this project. This project was needed because the existing meters were 20 years old and replaced a system. Oh, you got it, all right. Replaced a system that required the meters to be read manually, and some of the limitations of the old system were often that customers had water line breaks, and I know we had to come to council sometimes for those adjustments, and went unnoticed, and the customers received a huge bill. The successful implementation and completion of this project has eliminated the need for this manual reading and has greatly reduced the pattern of complaints and frustration from citizens about the water loss and the large bills that would often result. The new system has drastically improved the tracking of water usage and the identification of potential issues for customers. We're being proactive, and this provides numerous advantages for both the customers and for city staff. The advanced meter system allows for the remote monitoring and tracking of water usage. I'll talk about that in a little bit, by customers and staff. And again, we can be proactive, and we can also troubleshoot the system and provide better customer service with our operations staff out in the field. So the key parts of this project included the installation of 4 antennas and associated equipment that were kind of the backbone of the system. And these antennas receive the data from the water meters and then make it available in our system for the billing, customer service, and the system analysis that we utilize. The replacement of the meters included the development of the scheduling and the notification, coordination with utility billing, to ensure that we not only communicate with our customers about the replacements and when they would be replaced, but that the data would be available for our staff to make sure the bills were on time and accurate. One of the most important parts of this project was the overall management, the coordination, and the inspection processes we put in place to ensure that the replacements were done correctly and that the meter data was integrated into the billing system quickly and efficiently. To achieve this, we implemented a very detailed and comprehensive process that included photographing each meter before, during, and after the installation. We matched up the meter numbers with the accounts to make sure the billing was accurate and that the meter that we thought was in the ground attached to a customer was actually true and accurate. That took a lot of time and effort. The data was verified by the project manager from an engineering firm for accuracy and to, again, assure that the meter replacements were done correctly to our standards, and that the data was also correctly being received by the system, by the antennas, and coming through the utility billing system correctly. We met weekly to address the scheduling and coordination, along with reviewing the installations, the billing, and any training issues we had, because we had to learn as this process got implemented, and utility billing staff did an awesome job of just going with all the changes and making sure it worked. Prior to the replacements, we discovered that many of the meter boxes needed to be cleaned to accommodate the removal and replacement of the meter. And the ground was really hard and took a lot of time, but our staff did a great job getting this work done so the contractor could then come in right behind us and replace the meters. And sometimes we were only a week or two in front of them, but again, our staff did a great job. And also during the replacements, the contractor encountered many of the old pipes that the director mentioned briefly, valves and boxes and things that are just really, really old that caused the contractor quite a challenge. Some of the failures that were due to the contractor's negligence, maybe being a little bit too hard on the systems, and we were able to negotiate with them. We got credited back for the times where they maybe took a little bit too much of a strong hand. I think I have a picture of that. I don't. Well, many of the other failures were just due to corrosion and old pipes. And our staff, we made the determination at the beginning of this project that our customers wouldn't suffer any outages more than we had to. So our staff were able to get on site and make the corrections. Oftentimes, the customer side of the meter was defective or corroded, and we went ahead and fixed it. A lot of other jurisdictions leave it to the customer if it's on the customer side. We didn't want to inconvenience our customers any more than we needed to. So that took, again, quite an effort for us to do, but we were able to get people back in service very, very quickly. And finally, because our project went so well, we have other agencies that came to visit us. Hillsborough was one that totally changed their project, their scope, and their approach because of the lessons that we learned. I've spoken to many agencies on the phone, and we've actually been invited to speak at a national conference to share our project. It turns out it's been pretty unique for not only the company that we got the meters from, but other folks in agencies that are trying to figure out how to pull the project off of this size and complexity. And one of the things I'm most proud of is the utility billing coordination with us. And a lot of times that doesn't happen. The project's done from sort of an infrastructure standpoint and not a comprehensive point of view, but both the director and the city manager made sure that we looked at all angles for this project before we implemented it. So some of the ways we're using the new capability, we have leak detection capability with this project, as we discussed when you folks approved it. And we have it set up so if any water meter in the system runs water for a 48-hour period and uses 2 cubic feet an hour, which is about 15 gallons, it will automatically send an email to myself, to utility billing, to our water services manager, and we can go out and put a door hanger on, knock on someone's door and say, you might have a leak, you know, we're not sure, but notify them, and that's been huge for us. We've been able to do that with quite a few folks, and they've been very appreciative. The other thing that's been great is that we've been able to save people a lot of money. We were spending a lot of money with high bills, and one of the common things that happened before in the old system and even now, the difference is a customer comes in and very frustrated. They may have a high bill and they want to know why. What's going on? My bill was X last month or 2 months ago, and now it's really high. I haven't changed a thing. And our customer service staff can literally have them look at the screen and say, well, it looks like on this date your water just shot up and you maybe have a sprinkler. And they've gotten really good about diagnosing what's going on by looking at the graph and seeing what the water use is doing, whether it's a leaky toilet or maybe a sprinkler or just a constant leak. And we've had a customer, when Joanne was here actually, that came in and said that upset about the bill, and they looked at the system and they said, well, at 3 in the morning you've got huge usage and it looks like a sprinkler. And the guy was pretty sure that he didn't have his sprinklers on, and he went home, came back in and said, I really apologize. I had a broken sprinkler head and somehow my sprinkler system got reset, and within I think 4 or 5 days he noticed it and came in on his bill, but we caught it pretty early. So we've been able to help people out in a proactive way. Our customer service folks in operations side can go out with a laptop. Before, they would go out and just say, we're not sure what's going on. Now they can do the same thing. They can show the customer on the laptop what they're seeing and sort of helping them out. Maybe it's a toilet, maybe it's a sprinkler, maybe it's a leak in the ground someplace. It's constant. But we're able to do that. It's been very helpful. And then the other thing that has been great is customers can help themselves. And I wanted to remind council and those watching is on the city's main page, there's a water customer portal link. You can create your own account. And right now we have 458, I think, customers that have set up accounts. And we get calls fairly often about how to set up the account and some of those other things, or how to do alerts. You can set up alert if you know how much water you typically use. You can set a threshold and it will send you a email or text message and let you know if you've gone over, which might indicate a leak. And this is just, again, some instructions that are on the city's website. It's pretty easy. You have to have your bill and look at the last billed amount. And then finally, the actual graph that folks can look at to see their usage. And again, if there's some strange usage going on, they can kind of pinpoint. If it's 2 in the morning and they don't use water, it may be a toilet or something like that. And so that's really good thing for the customers to do, and they've been pretty excited about it. So, and while this project was budgeted for $5.1 million, total expenses for this project ended up being $4,736,858, which I'm happy to say was $363,142 below the budget. These funds will be returned to the Water Capital Fund and be used for other water projects, as the director indicated earlier. The next phase of this project will include the 900 commercial meters that we have, and once we get those done, the system will be all together and integrated. We've gone out for proposals for this next phase and received proposals this week, and we'll be reviewing those and planning our next steps and be back to council hopefully in a future upcoming meeting and get that project underway. And for tonight, a staff recommendation is for council to adopt a resolution accepting the advanced water meter phase 1 project as complete and authorizing the filing of notice of completion with the San Mateo County Recorder's Office. And I'm available for any questions you might have.
Nice report. Any questions for Jim or staff? Marty?
Thank you for the report. So I wasn't on the council when this project was approved, so I'm going to abstain when it comes down to voting to accept it. I do have a couple questions, just clarifications. So replacing the water meter, replacing the water meters that were over 30 or over, I'm looking at the resolution itself that of the meters that were installed in 1993. So those meters that aren't that old, they remain in place, or they have been all replaced?
They've all been replaced because in 1993 they did a wholesale changeover just like this. So all the meters got replaced in 1993 at the same time.
Okay, so for like Summerhill and Marisol, the new developments, they also got brand new meters as well? Okay. For the usage of that water meter reader, it was one person that was absorbed back into the department, and that person now is performing the functions of a maintenance worker?
Correct.
Okay. So how many times has the customer been informed that, hey, there's a leak? Just roughly an estimated number, since once a week, twice a week, 10 a month?
I don't have those numbers, but I know I personally talk to probably 5 people, 6 people a month.
Okay.
And that's just because utility building is kind of busy and I'll get the overflow.
Okay.
But in talking with them, it happens quite often.
Okay. So the meters that have been installed, what has been your experience on how many of them are malfunctioning? And if they malfunction, are they easily repaired? Are they under warranty, or how does that work?
So the meters and the endpoints, because they're kind of a dual system, they have a warranty of 20 years, battery life and also functionality. We had some failures right off the bat because of the endpoint has to be activated, sort of programmed and turned on, and some of them didn't accept the program, or it didn't program all the way. And we can find that in the system. When we log on to the system, it'll tell us we have 98% of the meters reporting in and everything's fine. And after a few days, we've actually sent crews out where we've got a meter that's out in the field that's not sending the data the right way, and we'll know it, and we'll go correct it. But we've probably had less than 2%
Okay.
of the meters that had issues.
Okay. So just so I understand, you had a contract with Golden State for 4.1 million plus, and a contingency for 621,000 plus for the contract to Golden State. So the other charges that are listed here, the 88,000, 81,000, 49, 84, it would be my understanding that anything over $25,000 needs to be approved by the city council. So the question then is, the contract that Golden State has is for a certain amount. If they're not being paid by that contract, they're not being paid that amount, I don't think we could really be paying these other subcontractors through that money. That money should be paid through the person who we awarded the contract to. Make any sense?
I'm not sure which, so there were subcontractors to Golden State, and so there were a number of services provided under the Golden State contract. I'm not sure which.
I'm looking at the list that's in the staff report.
Mm-hmm.
So contracted water service repairs for 88,000, materials for service repairs 81,000, concrete repairs 26,000, temporary labor 49,000. City staff, we don't need to do that because that's just absorbed through the contract. And equipment rental for 34,000. So if the money isn't being funneled through the contract that was awarded to Golden State, then these other items are interesting expenditures. So maybe the city attorney could provide some analysis of my question.
I'm not sure what the question is, and let me just finish. I'm not familiar with the contract other than what you have in the staff report, so if there's additional information about which contractors were paid for what and how, and whether they were paid separately or under the Golden State contract. I think staff would come back with that information. But
Right.
we
So
don't have that
that's-
information tonight.
That's basically the gist of it, that if we had a $500,000 contract to ABC Company, and we have a contingency for an X amount for ABC Company, and the council approves that contract, that money has to go to the ABC Company. Anything over $25,000 that is being paid directly to the subcontractors would need to come back to the council for, since it exceeds the 25,000 limit by the city manager. That's my statement, and just confirming if that's correct. And maybe we can come back to it, but
Yeah, if you could let us take a look, in some of these cases, just looking at the list that's in the staff report, it looks like those are aggregated costs of probably a number of different equipment rentals, for example. I'm imagining that's not a singular expenditure. I understand what you're saying, and I think we need to have the opportunity to take a look at this and to evaluate that further.
And my last question is city staff project management. It's amazing that for $12,000. And I'm wondering that maybe someone didn't charge their time to the project, they charged their time to whatever else it was. But when I worked here, when you're assigned to a project, you charge every hour to that project that you're working on. So if you're having a project engineering meeting, the engineers would charge their time to the project. The inspectors that went out would charge their time to the project. And $12,000 for almost 11,000 meters is really, really low for the amount of inspection that I'm anticipating to see. So I'm questioning, either you guys are doing something amazingly great, or there's some accounting error that number seems extremely low. And maybe we're not appropriately charging projects like we should be, so that we can really capture the cost of that project. I'm sorry, and really the last one is I did receive an inquiry about the payment of overtime for this project, and I understand city crews, as explained in the oral part of your report, the city crews had to go out there and prepare the boxes to get them set up and redo the repairs. But for the usage of overtime on this project, maybe you can explain a little bit of how overtime was authorized for this project.
So one of the things we had to do was get the boxes clean in time for the contractor to get going on the project. And if we would have only done box cleaning during working hours during the days and not on the weekends, we would have been in their way, and we wouldn't have been able to get the project done. So we had to do that. The second part of that is when there were problems on the customer side, for example, if there was a curb stop that broke, we didn't just close up for the day and go home.
Right, you would make sure they get returned to service.
And we had quite a few failures, so and those two things in combination accounts for the overtime. We didn't want to do the overtime. It was a necessity to get it done. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
Through the chair, in my understanding from the city manager that obviously Mr. Medina, Councilmember Medina, had a lot of questions. Are we saying we need time to get some of those answers and come back to the city manager, or? I mean, there was a lot of information that just went through, and I know that nothing's all right there. So
I think we answered all of the questions except for the one regarding that. What I indicated needed time was to answer the question regarding the specifics of amounts that are over $25,000 in a particular category in the chart that's in your staff report. The other questions, I believe, that were responded to.
Because are you in fact asking if the contract's with ABC contractor, that the ABC contractor can't sub out under that agreement? I guess I'm trying to understand I understand about the cap of the 25,000. That's a correct statement, but I'm trying to understand within the bigger picture here.
It's my understanding that a contractor can sub out their work, but the money still has to be paid to the prime contractor, which in this case would be ABC. It couldn't be paid out to XYZ. And so the money that is being spent out here, item 4, 88,000, that should be included in the payment to the prime contractor, not the sub. We have a contract with the prime contractor being Golden State. We don't have a contract with all the other people. We would have to get city manager approval under 25, and it would have to come to the council for above 25. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I think that better explains it for me. And I guess I'm just trying to understand what's been the practice. I mean, it's not the first project we've had, so there's got to be a process or a precedent that we do and we have practices on. So that's why I know we need time specifically, but I'm saying generally.
The way that the council members described it is typically the way, that is the policy and the practice of the city. This particular contract included a variety of different items. It included procurement of the materials. It included the installation of the materials, and much of the checking and inspection part of it that the council member was talking about earlier as well. I think the specific question relates to those items that were not within the contracted amount of $4.315 million.
And it is fair to say the work has been done, and obviously we've incurred these costs. So the bills have been paid.
That's correct.
Is there monies being held now because we haven't approved this?
So there's the normal contract retention amount, I believe, or has that been paid as well? No, can you explain that?
There's no retention held for this project.
Okay.
Okay.
So that you're just looking for clarification, Marty, as to the procedure?
Right.
Mike, okay.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, any other questions or action by the council on this item?
I'd like to make a comment. I understand Councilmember Marty Medina's questions. However, I think the project itself was fantastically done. It was very impressive. It was seamless. I know one day I had noticed that what was happening at my house, I went away, I came back, it was done, it was clean, I didn't even notice you guys had come and gone, and it was great. And I think the fact that it not only helps the city with its billing and keeping track of the water consumption, but every single individual who has a water account can figure out what they're doing. It's really fascinating. People, if you haven't done it, do it, because you can see where your kid's taking a 20-minute shower, and you can see how long, who washes the dishes better and uses less water. I mean, it's all kind of spelled out there. It's really fascinating. So I think as a service to everybody, it's a job well done. It's a project that I'm very happy that we've accomplished, and I'm extremely proud that you all have done it the way you did and have gotten the recognition nationally that you are getting. So are you going to the conference?
My 30th anniversary is that week, so
where's your priority?
I'm on the fence.
Where is the conference? Maybe you could,
The conference is in Dallas, Texas.
Oh.
But I guess the good news is our information's been shared with other folks, and like I said, Hillsborough, who I think they're done with their project now. They came to visit us 3 different times, utility billing side and also operations, and like I said, completely changed their approach to their project, and so they say has been a huge success because some of the things they were able to do on the front end. So, and like I said, I can't say enough about our staff, not only the operations group, but also utility billing, and they continue to utilize the system and learn more all the time. So, thank you.
It's fascinating. So, and also, I'm sorry I didn't make a comment before with your other report. Anybody who doesn't get a chance, anybody who gets a chance should look at those pipes. that are a sample of the kind of pipes that we are replacing. And maybe we could even display them in City Hall so people get an idea. With that, I will introduce the resolution.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Marty Medina.
Abstain.
Councilmember Rico Medina.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Ibarra.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Item number 12, comments from council members. Anyone have anything? Marty?
So, just wanted two things. There's a pancake breakfast at the American Legion on Saturday, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Get there early so you can get in the raffle. It's $10, all you can eat, made to order, omelets. There's hash browns, bacon sausage. It's an amazing breakfast, and it's a great cause. The second thing I'd like to remind everybody and announce is remember to have your dog on a leash in City Park and at Grundy Park. Make sure that leash is retracted to 6 feet. Stay on the trails. Pick up after your dog. By doing this successfully, we could possibly look at expanding that program. So please remember those things. Thank you.
Anyone else?
To the chair, yes, thank you for the reminder of the leash. I'm sorry I can't make it. Sorry I can't make it to the pancake breakfast. I think I'll be busy Saturday. I just want to remind everyone that we are hosting the Relay for Life. We are starting a little later. Opening ceremonies at 10 o'clock. I promise nearly 70-degree weather, and although it'll be a little chilly through the night. Look for me. I'll be in the purple tutu throughout 24 hours, and we'll be out of there. We'll be out of there by about 11 o'clock on Sunday. But again, I want to thank, just like our committee stated, I want to thank the City of San Bruno. I'm very proud to be hosting Relay for Life in this town this year, and I think it's going to be the best one in the 8 years that we've had it. So, thank you.
We already had our closed session, and this meeting is adjourned until May 9th right here.